I hate to tell you this, but they found Glenn Turner dead in his bed this afternoon.
I mean, it was horrible.
Liz, people are calling you a murderer.
Is she that shrewd and conniving and scheming on one hand and stupid on the other hand?
This case is about lust, greed, and murder.
Still maintain your innocence?
They were worth so much more to her dead than they ever were alive.
She really did do this. It was hard to accept.
Ini bukanlah berita biasa, namun benar-benar kisah nyata teka-teki dari seorang janda polisi dengan dua pria berseragam, seorang petugas polisi dan seorang petugas pemadam kebakaran, serta kegigihan seorang jurnalis wanita yang terus menggali kebenaran yang telah terkubur selama bertahun-tahun untuk memecahkan misteri yang menguak nafsu, keserakahan, dan pengkhianatan mematikan yang akan kita kupas lebih dalam lagi dalam tayangan dokumenter khas K-Channel. Selengkapnya sesaat lagi hanya di YouTube K-Channel, membuka jendela dunia. Sekitar 10 pagi, dua petugas pemadam kebakaran Forsyth County, Georgia, tiba di apartemen Randy Thompson. Setelah mereka terus menghubungi Randy dan tidak pernah ada jawaban, baik melalui ponselnya maupun telepon rumahnya, sehingga mereka memutuskan untuk datang dan melihat Randy di apartemennya. Karena di hari sebelumnya, Randy mengeluh kesakitan yang cukup serius dan sempat dirawat di rumah sakit. Dan pada malam harinya, sang pacar sempat mampir menjenguk Randy dan membawakannya makanan dan teh manis. Tapi keesokan harinya, ketika petugas pemadam kebakaran datang untuk memeriksanya, sama sekali tidak ada jawaban setelah berulang kali mengetuk pintunya. Lalu ketika mereka mencoba melihat ke dalam lewat kaca jendela, mereka melihat Randy tergeletak di sofa. Karena khawatir, akhirnya mereka terpaksa mendobrak pintunya. Tetapi rupanya mereka sudah terlambat karena Randy sudah meninggal. Dan tentu saja kabar ini mengejutkan semua orang dan membuat keluarga dan teman-temannya merasa terpukul. Karena kepergian Randy begitu tiba-tiba. Bagaimana mungkin seorang pria yang terlihat bugar dan masih muda tiba-tiba meninggal secara misterius? Apakah ia mencoba mengakhiri hidupnya?
Hi, I'm Vinko from Perth, Western Australia. You are watching K-Channel, the most famous YouTube channel in Indonesia.
Lynn Turner, wanita muda yang berusia 27 tahun, mengendarai mobil sport terbarunya, Camaro. Ia berkendara menuju ke kampung halamannya, ke Cumming, Georgia, Amerika Serikat.
Lynn was very flashy. She always had a flashy car. She always had plenty of money.
Lynn tak hanya terlihat mencolok dan menjadi pusat perhatian, dia juga memiliki banyak uang dan memiliki banyak pria yang haus akan perhatiannya. Tetapi perhatian Lynn hanya tertuju pada satu pria, yakni Randy Thompson. Mereka pertama kali bertemu saat dikenalkan oleh teman SMA Lynn yang juga teman Randy. Randy adalah seorang duda tampan yang masih berusia 25 tahun. Ia adalah wakil sheriff yang kemudian menjadi seorang petugas pemadam kebakaran. Pekerjaan yang Randy cita-citakan sejak ia kecil mengikuti jejak ayahnya. Awalnya Randy tidak begitu tertarik pada Lynn, tetapi Lynn sangat gigih. Ia terus mengejar Randy dan menghujaninya dengan banyak hadiah dan liburan mewah di kapal pesiar. serta mencoba membeli hati keluarga Randy dengan memberikan banyak hadiah pada ayah, ibu serta 2 adik Randy pada hari Natal tahun 1994.
She took him to races, Lynn took him on cruises, whatever she thought he may want to do, she would do it for him. He loved it. I mean, like any single person would, you know. He's got this cute girl that's showered him with gifts and trips and everything else, so why not enjoy it?
Lynn yang mengaku seorang janda bercerai dari suaminya yang seorang polisi pada Randy dan keluarganya, akhirnya memenangkan hati Randy dan keluarganya.
She told all of us, including Randy, that she was divorced.
She had told them that she was divorced from her first husband, so they never questioned that.
She started coming down here during the week, every weekend, spending an awful lot of time down here.
Lalu Lynn dan Randy pindah tinggal bersama di sebuah apartemen di Cumming. Dan itu hanyalah tempat untuk tinggal sementara mereka. Karena beberapa lama kemudian, Lynn membeli sebuah rumah yang indah dan cukup besar dan memiliki halaman yang cukup luas. Lynn juga melengkapi rumahnya dengan membeli perabotan-perabotan baru yang mewah, serta membantu Randy untuk membeli mobil baru.
She furnished the house and she had helped Randy buy a new car and she was just having everything new all the time. And I finally asked her, how can you afford this? And she said that it was her inheritance from her grandmother.
Tidak lama setelah mereka tinggal di rumah baru Lynn, kemudian Lynn hamil dan melahirkan seorang bayi perempuan cantik bernama Amber Thompson. Kini Lynn menjadi seorang ibu yang penuh kasih sayang dalam merawat putri pertama mereka.
She was a very loving mother. She was a very good mother.
Dengan hadirnya sang buah hati, lalu Randy memutuskan ingin menikahi Lynn. Ia kemudian membeli cincin dan melamar Lynn. Namun seiring berjalannya waktu, rencana pernikahan mereka terpaksa tertunda karena pasangan ini mengalami masa sulit. Mereka telah menjalani gaya hidup di luar kemampuan mereka dan semakin terlilit hutang. Lalu pertengkaran demi pertengkaran pun di antara mereka terjadi secara terus-menerus. Randy kini menghadapi banyak masalah, tidak hanya hubungannya dengan Lynn serta hutang yang melilit mereka, tetapi juga Randy sudah tidak lagi mampu membayar uang tunjangan pada mantan istrinya. Hal itulah yang membuat Randy kini beralih ke alkohol. Tetapi pada bulan Februari, rupanya Randy sudah tidak tahan lagi atas masalah yang dihadapinya, hingga ia mencoba untuk mengakhiri hidupnya.
Randy's financial situation was pretty tough. He had some debt.
He got into drinking. He may have tried to commit suicide. He took a bunch of pills, but he called his dad to say, I'm in trouble. I've taken these pills.
Well, he took some pills and then he called my dad and said, Dad, I did something stupid. I took these pills and I know I shouldn't have done it. My opinion is that if you're really trying to kill yourself, you don't call someone for help.
Kemudian Randy segera memanggil seorang teman untuk membawanya ke rumah sakit. Dan itu sebenarnya hanyalah sebagai upaya Randy untuk mencari perhatian. Apapun motivasi Randy dalam upaya mencoba mengakhiri hidupnya, membuat hubungannya dengan Lynn kembali bersama dengan damai. Setelah Randy pulih, ia kembali tinggal bersama Lynn. Dan setahun kemudian, anak kedua mereka lahir, yang diberi nama Blake Thompson. Tetapi kelahiran buah hati kedua mereka tidak membuat hubungan pasangan ini menjadi lebih baik.
They were always jealous of each other. She was very possessive of Randy.
Randy moved out several times.
Randy memutuskan untuk meninggalkan anak-anak mereka dan pindah ke apartemen.
Randy finally decided that he couldn't take it anymore.
Pada pertengahan Januari 2001, nampaknya Randy mulai merasakan ada tanda-tanda bahwa hubungannya dengan Lynn mulai membaik. Mereka tidak hanya intens berkomunikasi, tetapi mereka juga merencanakan untuk makan malam bersama. Dan pada Jumat malam akhirnya Randy bertemu dengan Lynn dan anak-anak mereka untuk pergi makan malam di sebuah restoran steak. Selesai makan malam lalu mereka pulang bersama ke rumah Lynn, dan Lynn menyajikan makanan pencuci mulut untuk Randy sambil membicarakan hubungan mereka berdua, yang tampaknya mereka berdua sangat ingin memperbaikinya. Tetapi malam itu Randy tidak menginap di rumah Lynn. Ia segera pulang kembali ke apartemennya.
I had called him that night to see how things had gone, and he said not well.
Sesaat sebelum jam makan siang, teman Randy, Melanie Harver, menghubungi Randy untuk mengajaknya makan siang bersama. Tetapi tampaknya Randy tidak bisa ikut karena ia dalam kondisi sakit parah. Ia merasakan kesakitan di bagian perutnya dan sering muntah-muntah sepanjang hari. Karena Randy sebelumnya pernah mengalami overdosis dan upayanya untuk mengakhiri hidupnya. Lantas Melanie dan suaminya segera mendatangi apartemen Randy untuk memastikan kondisi Randy.
He was vomiting a lot, actually dry heaving because I'm sure there was nothing there, but very, very sick.
Kemudian mereka membawa Randy ke rumah sakit, dan Randy kemudian diberikan cairan infus dan beberapa perawatan lain. Karena dokter menyebut bahwa Randy terkena virus di perutnya.
I knew he was sick, but obviously we didn't know how serious it was.
Dan sore harinya, Randy merasa lebih baik. Lalu mereka membawa Randy kembali pulang ke apartemennya. Dan pada malam harinya, Lynn mampir ke apartemen Randy untuk membantu merawatnya sambil membawakan makanan dan minuman teh untuk Randy. Keesokan harinya pada hari Senin, teman-teman kerja Randy sesama petugas pemadam kebakaran menemukan Randy tergeletak di sofa dalam keadaan yang mengenaskan.
And he said, I can't even say it. He died. I mean, it was horrible.
Randy Thompson, pria yang berusia 32 tahun itu, telah tewas.
I remember talking to him on the phone and him telling me that he had gone to church and that he had given his life to the Lord and that he was changing some things.
Keluarga dan teman-temannya menduga bahwa kematian Randy yang mendadak itu kemungkinan karena keracunan makanan. Setelah mereka mengetahui kunjungan dari dokter yang telah mendiagnosis Randy terkena virus perut di saat Randy dirawat di UGD sehari sebelum kematiannya. Dan mungkin kematiannya akibat infeksi parah dari virus tersebut. Keluarga Randy begitu tercengang dan sangat terpukul mengetahui kematian Randy yang tiba-tiba. Randy kemudian dimakamkan dengan upacara kedinasan sebagai penghormatan terakhir mereka pada Randy.
My mother was just could not be consoled. You know, my dad was out on the road. He was driving a truck at the time, and I mean, when he got there, he and my mom and my sister Kimberly and I just held each other and just were devastated.
She did not act like she was grieving, but Lynn was a very strong person.
Lalu hasil otopsi mengungkapkan bahwa kematian Randy ditemukan akibat sebab alamiah. Ia mengalami pembesaran jantung yang tidak teratur.
He had an enlarged heart, irregular heartbeat, and that's what he died from.
When Randy was evaluated by medical personnel, cause of death was thought to have been some heart failure, something to do with some cardiac dysrhythmia, heart failure, things of that nature.
Tetapi naluri seorang ibu tidak bisa dibohongi. Ia memiliki firasat bahwa kematian putranya bukanlah kematian yang wajar.
I knew something was wrong. I didn't think it was a natural death.
Kematian Randy Thompson diberitakan di surat kabar yang kemudian terbaca oleh Kathy Turner, ibu dari Glenn Turner. Glenn Turner adalah seorang polisi. Ia suami dari Lynn Turner, yang juga telah meninggal di usia yang masih muda. Bagi keluarga Turner, kematian secara tiba-tiba dua pria muda yang masih sehat dengan penyebab kematian yang sama dianggap terlalu banyak kebetulan. Begitupun menurut teman-teman Glenn Turner.
This is another guy in his early 30s, very much in good health, and now he's dead. So there is a common denominator.
Lynn is a connection between the two men.
When I heard Randy had died, I mean, the hair went up on the back of my neck. My first instinct told me Lynn had done something to him.
Walaupun Mike Archer belum mempunyai bukti apapun, tetapi ia mulai menghubungi sama petugas polisi Forsyth.
I explained him my whole story. I said I have strong suspicion Lynn did something to Glenn. I have strong suspicion did something to Randy. He assured me they were going to look into it. They're going to get right on it.
Di saat yang bersamaan, seorang jurnalis investigasi, Jane Hansen, secara kebetulan sudah mulai menyelidikinya. Jurnalis Atlanta, pemenang penghargaan ini, telah menerima informasi bahwa kematian dua pria muda yang pernah hidup bersama seorang wanita ini merupakan cerita yang patut untuk ditelusuri.
At the time, I was a reporter at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I had been tipped off about a situation involving police officers. He called them police officers. He said both men died of flu-like symptoms, and they both dated the same woman. It's just sort of a strange story. Each man got sick, really sick. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea.
Both were in their early 30s. Both were kind of robust, men's men type of, cops, first responder types.
They both had a whirlwind relationship with Lynn Turner. She was showering them with gifts, giving them all sorts of things. Their relationship seemed to be in turmoil at the end.
They both were last seen with her, and then they both had autopsies that had the same conclusions. Natural death caused by enlarged heart, cardiac dysrhythmia. There's something screwy here. I did want to get to the truth of what occurred. That's when I started thinking, is there some poison that...
Untuk mengetahui secara mendalam, Jane Hansen perlu menemui dan berbicara dengan keluarga dari dua pria yang telah meninggal. Dimulai dengan berbicara pada Kathy Turner, ibu dari Glenn Turner.
I called Kathy and arranged to meet with her at the Big Chicken, which is a well-known place north of Atlanta in Marietta. And she brought her son, James Turner, with her.
And we took the autopsy report that we had and all the information we had on the case and shared it all with her. It was just very devastating to know that this has happened a second time.
Here I thought I was through grieving. I'd already handled Glenn's death. And then to hear about another one, Randy Thompson, that was very devastating.
Mereka memberitahu Jane Hansen bahwa meskipun ada kesimpulan dari laporan otopsi yang menyatakan Glenn Turner meninggal karena detak jantung yang tidak teratur, keluarga Glenn kini merasa curiga. Apakah Glenn dibunuh? Dan istrinya, Lynn Turner, mungkin terlibat di dalamnya? Lalu, apa yang menjadi bukti bahwa kematian Glenn Turner bukanlah hal yang wajar? Jane Hansen memenuhi janjinya kepada keluarga Glenn Turner dengan menelusurinya pada teman-teman Glenn, termasuk pada Mike Archer.
So I told them, I'll give you my word that I will do the best I can to find out what happened. But I don't know that I'll ever be able to write a story about this. And the reason is that it's been marked a natural death. And who am I to say it isn't?
And she said, I hear you're kind of suspicious of the death of Glenn Turner and Randy Thompson. I said, absolutely. I began to explain the whole story from Glenn, from start to finish, and the situation with Randy. And Jane said, well, let me see what I can do. Let me dig into some things, and I'll get back with you.
Jane Hansen adalah jurnalis yang memiliki banyak pengalaman dalam melakukan investigasi. Dan ia sudah terbiasa melihat cukup banyak laporan-laporan hasil otopsi. Dan Jane kini menemukan sesuatu yang cukup menarik saat ia melihat laporan hasil otopsi Randy Thompson. Jane berpikir, mungkinkah penyebab kematian yang sama dari dua pria muda itu akibat disrimia jantung adalah hal yang wajar dan kebetulan? Jane kemudian pergi mencari pendapat lain dari seorang temannya yang merupakan ahli jantung.
I took the autopsies to a friend who is a cardiologist, and he did look at them, and he said, "Sounds like they had cardiac dysrhythmia."
Dan ternyata sang ahli jantung mengatakan bahwa penyebabnya memang karena mereka menderita disrimia jantung. Tetapi naluri jurnalistiknya memberitahu untuk tetap berbicara dengan keluarga Randy Thompson. Namun ketika Jane menghubungi keluarga Randy, mereka menolak untuk diwawancarai. Sehingga Jane menemui jalan buntu untuk melakukan penyelidikan selanjutnya. Kini ia tidak punya cerita yang bisa ia beritakan.
We were trying to just deal with the fact that Randy was gone.
So at that point, I had 2 natural deaths and 1 family's interview. I had no story. None.
Beberapa lama kemudian, Ibu Randy menerima surat yang mengubah segalanya. Surat itu datang dari seorang wanita bernama Catherine Turner atau Kathy Turner, ibu dari Glenn Turner, pria yang menurut Lynn Turner adalah mantan suaminya, di mana Lynn dan Glenn telah bercerai.
And I read it, and she had her phone number, and she had some of the things that happened to Glenn in there.
I just was telling her who I was and why I was writing about my son.
Nita lalu segera menghubungi Kathy. Kedua ibu yang sama-sama berduka atas kepergian putra mereka akhirnya bertemu.
We had never met each other before. We hugged, and here we were, 2 mothers, grieving over our lost sons. It was a very hard day.
When we met with the Thompson family and started comparing all the dates and times, we were able to positively identify that while Glenn and Lynn were married, that Lynn was dating Randy.
Untuk sobat semua, sebelum lanjut ada baiknya untuk mengklik terlebih dahulu tombol like, share, dan subscribe, serta tombol notifikasinya, agar tak ketinggalan update kisah nyata tak biasa dari K-Channel selanjutnya. Dan hal pertama yang Kathy ceritakan pada Nita adalah bahwa putranya Glenn Turner bukanlah mantan suami Lynn, tetapi Glenn adalah mendiang suaminya. Marietta, Georgia adalah kota yang berjarak tidak jauh dari kota Atlanta yang ramai. Di kota Marietta, Georgia inilah Glenn Turner, seorang pemuda gagah berusia 23 tahun ini tinggal dan mulai bekerja sebagai penegak hukum di Departemen Kepolisian Cobb County. Pada saat usianya beranjak 29 tahun, Glenn mulai bergaul dan sering berpesta dikelilingi banyak wanita. Dan salah satu dari wanita tersebut adalah seorang wanita berusia 22 tahun, yakni Lynn Womack.
Lynn was 100% a flirt. She was very pretty. She was very outgoing. She was considered attractive, and she liked attention. When she would come into a room, she wanted to be the main person there.
Lynn lahir pada 13 Juli 1968. Ia memiliki nama lengkap Julia Lynn Womack. Setelah ia diadopsi oleh keluarga Womack karena ibu kandungnya telah meninggalkannya. Tetapi ketika ia berusia 5 tahun, keluarga Womack bercerai dan Helen Womack mengambil hak asuh Lynn. Di masa remajanya, Lynn menyalahgunakan obat-obatan terlarang hingga akhirnya ia dirawat di sebuah klinik di Atlanta karena kecanduan. Lalu pada tahun 1990, Lynn bekerja sebagai operator 911 di Cobb County, Georgia. setelah ia gagal menjadi polisi saat ujian psikologis. Lynn adalah wanita dengan penampilan menarik dan sedikit genit. Ia memiliki tubuh yang langsing, berambut hitam panjang dengan riasan wajah yang selalu membuatnya terlihat mempesona. Ia senang berpesta dan bergaul dengan para petugas polisi. Dan pada saat ini, ia begitu terpesona pada seorang petugas polisi bertubuh tinggi besar dan tampan, Glenn Turner. Lynn mulai mengejar Glenn, dan tampaknya Glenn juga sama-sama terpesona pada Lynn. Apalagi Lynn begitu banyak memberikan perhatiannya pada Glenn, hingga Glenn dihujani banyak hadiah dari Lynn.
So Lynn and Glenn's relationship seemed to start off very well, where she was showering him with gifts.
Cowboy boots, clothes, alcohol, wheels for his truck. She would spend a lot of money on him and was very attentive.
Setelah hubungan mereka terjalin selama kurang dari 2 tahun, akhirnya Glenn membuat keputusan besar yang akan mengubah hidupnya dengan menikahi Lynn. Dan akhirnya pasangan ini pun melangsungkan pernikahan mereka pada 21 Agustus 1992 di Gereja Baptis Marietta.
Lynn was very gun-ho about getting married and about being with him. The first time I met hers when they came up and told me they were getting married.
1,5 tahun kemudian, pasangan suami istri ini begitu bahagia karena mulai mempunyai rumah sendiri. Tetapi rupanya, itu tidak lantas membuat hubungan mereka terlihat bahagia. Teman-teman Glenn mulai memperhatikan perubahan Glenn yang tampak seperti ada sesuatu yang tidak beres dengan pernikahannya.
I said, what's wrong? He goes, me and Lynn. He said, you know, pretty much I made a bad mistake. I want to go back and have fun again.
Lynn Turner was a spender. She was always in debt. She had a $1,000 cell phone bill every month. Now, she would just spend money.
When they did get married, Lynn still had the other lifestyle that she was used to, which was, you know, being flirtatious, and I don't think that he was ready to accept that fact. Lynn was more of a homey kind of guy. You know, let me be the husband that takes care of business, and then we can have our home together and eventually have children. But that's not the lifestyle that Lynn was looking for.
Di saat Glenn bekerja keras untuk menutupi kebutuhan hidup keluarganya dan melunasi hutang-hutang dari gaya hidup Lynn yang melampaui kemampuan mereka, Glenn bekerja di 3 pekerjaan, termasuk bekerja di pom bensin. Tetapi di saat ini, Lynn kerap pulang pergi ke kampung halamannya di Cumming, Georgia, yang berjarak 30 mil jauhnya. Dan pada saat ini, rumor mulai berkembang di Cobb County bahwa Lynn berselingkuh.
I had heard suspicions that she was having an affair, but I didn't have any hard facts, just suspicion.
You had to know deep down in she was doing something, because you got your new bride and you stopped having sex after about probably 60 days, 90 days into the marriage. She said she had a female problem. Oh, come on. Nobody's that stupid.
Sort of guy, somebody that you like to hang out with.
Lynn, really, in the course of her marriage to Glenn, at some point started an affair with Randy Thompson, who she had met in Forsyth County, so it was a different county.
Preceded Glenn's death by about 6 months, that she had actually already started seeing Randy Thompson, was involved with his family, going to parties, going to family get-togethers, while Glenn was working a tremendous amount of hours doing his own job as an officer, working security jobs, working at a gas station. He was doing all the work and she was doing all the play.
She was one of those individuals that seems to like police officers and law enforcement, and she hung around with them a lot.
When they first met Lynn, the Thompson family was told that by Lynn that she was divorced from her first husband, which of course was untrue. She was still married to Glenn and living with him, actually, but she'd go back and forth between them.
Di akhir bulan Februari, Glenn akhirnya memutuskan untuk mengakhiri pernikahannya dengan Lynn. Dan ia mulai merencanakan untuk pindah tinggal di rumah ayahnya untuk sementara waktu. Dan akan segera menjual rumahnya yang ia tempati bersama istrinya, Lynn.
They were struggling and Glenn talked about it and how unhappy he was and that he was moving toward getting a divorce. He was getting ready to move out. He was going to move to my dad's house.
Glenn mengungkapkan pada temannya bahwa perceraiannya dengan Lynn membuatnya stres. Tetapi kali ini, Glenn menelpon temannya tidak untuk berkeluh kesah tentang masalahnya dengan Lynn. Tetapi, ia mengeluh kesakitan di bagian perutnya selama 3 hari berturut-turut, hingga ia tidak bisa masuk kerja seperti biasanya.
Glenn had called in sick 3 days in a row. It sounded like he had the worst case of flu or stomach virus you could have. I'm like, man, don't come to work if you're sick.
And I thought, well, you know, the poor guy, he's tired, he's exhausted, his immune system is run down, and that he'll be better once he goes to the doctor.
Dan pada hari ini, Glenn benar-benar jatuh sakit. Lalu Lynn membawanya ke rumah sakit, dan dokter mengatakan bahwa Glenn terkena virus. Tetapi keesokan harinya, Glenn merasa lebih baik.
Went to the hospital. They treated him with intravenous fluids because he was dehydrated, and they gave him some anti-nausea drug. And then he was released and went home.
Kemudian Lynn membuatkan minuman dan makanan, termasuk makanan pencuci mulut Jello, untuk Glenn sebelum Lynn pergi kerja.
I talked to Glenn on the phone and asked him how he was doing. He's like, Linda, I'm so sick. He said, I feel like I'm going to die.
He said, man, I'm so sick to my stomach, I'm about to die. He said, I'm just shaking. I don't know what to do. I'm hurting that bad.
Dan itu tampaknya adalah percakapan terakhir Glenn dengan teman dan keluarganya. Karena pada hari itu, Lynn tiba-tiba menghubungi teman Glenn, Mike Archer.
She called me and said, are you sitting down? I said, what's going on? She said, I hate to tell you this, but they found Glenn Turner dead in his bed this afternoon.
Kabar duka yang mengejutkan itu pun diterima oleh adik Glenn yang baru saja tiba di rumahnya, serta diterima oleh ibu Glenn yang tidak mempercayai bahwa Glenn sudah tiada.
We walk into the house and the phone started ringing, and it was Mike Archer on the phone, and my whole world fell apart.
And I knew he was depressed, and I knew he was upset that the marriage didn't work. So I thought maybe he's sick and his immune system dropped and this flu just got the best of him and, killed him.
I spoke to Lynn Friday evening after Glenn had passed that morning. She called me on her way traveling. She said she didn't know where she was going, but she wanted to call me and let me know what was going on. And she proceeded to tell me that Glenn was acting delirious, tried to drink gasoline that was down in the basement, that he had tried to jump off the back porch, which the back porch was way up high off the ground.
Glenn Turner, pria gagah yang dijuluki beruang lembut, menghembuskan nafas terakhirnya di usia 31 tahun, yang ditemukan di rumahnya di Marietta, Georgia. Kemudian ia dimakamkan di Chatham Hill Memorial Park di sebuah daerah di pinggiran Marietta dengan melakukan upacara resmi pemakaman kedinasan dari kepolisian sebagai penghormatan terakhir mereka pada anggotanya yang telah meninggal. Jane Hanson adalah seorang jurnalis yang bekerja untuk surat kabar Atlanta Journal-Constitution, dan ia turut meliput berita upacara pemakaman Glenn yang terlihat berbeda karena tidak hanya dihadiri oleh keluarga, kerabat, dan para petugas kepolisian serta teman-teman istrinya yang bekerja sebagai operator 911, tetapi juga banyak dihadiri masyarakat setempat. Walau tidak mempercayai bahwa putranya meninggal secara alamiah, tetapi Kathy Turner mencoba menerima kepergian putranya.
Well, I have a lot of faith in God, and I knew that he was dead and there was nothing I could do to bring him back. I just had to learn to accept it. I feel sorry for her. You know, you've lost a young husband and you're young yourself.
Tetapi janda polisi Lynn Turner bersikap agak aneh di pemakaman Glenn.
At the funeral, Lynn stayed away from me. I ran and gave her a hug and she was cold to me.
It wasn't no surprise at the funeral that she had another guy on her arm. This guy happened to be married and have children. He was also a police officer. Knew Glenn very well.
And she had her hand all over his leg and talking to him all the time. And I was sitting there and looking at that and I thought, what in the world is she doing over there with him? And her husband's in the casket, you know, ready to be going to the grave. It was hard to accept.
Dan tepat 4 hari setelah pemakaman Glenn Turner, Lynn pindah ke apartemen di Cumming untuk tinggal bersama Randy Thompson.
You don't just jump into another man's arms. So I wouldn't think so anyway. You would have a little bit of a mourning time, but there was no mourning on her part. So yeah, she moved on extremely quickly.
Kematian Glenn mencengangkan banyak orang karena mereka berpikir, bagaimana bisa seorang pemuda yang sehat bisa meninggal secara tiba-tiba? Apakah kematian Glenn memang alami seperti kelihatannya? Keluarga Glenn berharap bahwa hasil otopsinya akan memberikan jawaban yang mungkin bisa membungkam atas segala pertanyaan dalam benak mereka.
The family questioned what was going on to the medical examiner's office, and we were promised that everything would be looked into because he was one of theirs. And they came back and said everything checked out. It was natural causes.
The autopsy report said it was a natural death caused by enlarged heart and cardiac dysrhythmia, which is like an unusual or an irregular heartbeat.
Kemudian Jane mendapatkan telepon yang mengejutkan dari seorang pengacara keluarga Randy Thompson. Ia bersedia berbicara dengan Jane, dan itu merupakan terobosan baru bagi penyelidikan Jane. Keesokan harinya, Jane melakukan perjalanan selama 2 jam dari selatan Atlanta menuju ke Warner Robins, di mana keluarga Randy Thompson tinggal. Dan dalam wawancara Jane beserta keluarga Randy Thompson, mereka begitu emosional, terutama sang ibu, Nita Thompson, yang masih sangat terpukul atas meninggalnya Randy sekitar 2 bulan sebelumnya.
I found out at that time that Lynn and Glenn were still married when she was seeing Randy.
Keluarga Randy Thompson menceritakan secara rinci tentang beberapa saat menjelang kematian Randy dengan gejala yang dialami Glenn Turner menjelang kematiannya. Kematian Randy tidak hanya sama dengan kematian Glenn, tetapi kehidupan mereka dengan Lynn juga serupa.
We told Jane that Lynn was very controlling.
She would walk into a room and wanted to be the center of attention.
And then after he died, she cut them off. She didn't want to have a relationship with them.
I mean, it was the same. You know, everything was the same.
Tetapi walau Lynn telah membohongi semua bahwa ternyata Lynn berselingkuh dengan Randy Thompson saat ia masih menikah dengan Glenn, namun itu bukan berarti Lynn menjadi seorang pembunuh.
It said to me she was living a double life. It was pretty extreme, but it didn't mean she was a murderer. I absolutely had zero hope that she was not involved. I didn't know to what degree. I didn't know if maybe she had someone else do something. I just knew 100% it was her.
So I told them, I'll give you my word that I will do the best I can to find out what happened. But I don't know that I'll ever be able to write a story about this. And the reason is that it's been marked a natural death. And who am I to say it isn't?
And she said, I hear you're kind of suspicious of the death of Glenn Turner and Randy Thompson. I said, absolutely. I began to explain the whole story from Glenn, from start to finish, and the situation with Randy. And Jane said, well, let me see what I can do. Let me dig into some things, and I'll get back with you.
Jadi, jika Glenn dan Randy dibunuh, bagaimana caranya? Hal inilah yang terus diselidiki oleh Jane Hansen. Ia terus mencari tahu apa kemungkinan yang bisa terjadi. Bila ternyata Glenn dan Randy meninggal karena keracunan, lalu jenis racun semacam apakah? Dan bagaimana untuk membuktikannya? Sementara racun itu sendiri terdapat ratusan jenisnya. Lalu Jane Hansen mulai mendatangi dan meminta pertolongan ahli toksikologi forensik di GBI atau Georgia Bureau Investigasi.
Jane began to make phone calls. Jane began to speak with the investigators that were handling the case. Jane began to speak to the GBI.
Both were very young men. Both wore a uniform. Both were apparently healthy before they came down with this very serious illness.
The results were indeed a red flag for me because of the similarities.
I was in contact with Jane almost daily. My job was pretty much confirming what she'd found out for the record. I wasn't necessarily releasing information to her. She had already uncovered it through her sources and was calling me to try to confirm it for the record.
Jane diberitahu berbagai jenis racun, berbagai akibatnya dan berbagai macam hal yang mungkin terjadi. Tetapi naluri Jane Hansen mengatakan padanya bahwa zat mematikan itu bisa saja ethylene glycol yang merupakan bahan utama dari anti beku.
Antifreeze is sweet tasting, but it doesn't have any other taste. It just has a sweetness to it, and it's odorless, and it doesn't require much to get a lethal dose of it.
Kemudian Jane terus menelusuri dan menanyakan pada ahli toksikologi apakah ia melihat ada ethylene glycol pada mereka, dan jawabannya ya.
And I called the toxicologist. I asked him what poison would cause this. Can you tell me what would actually cause these symptoms, these flu-like symptoms that both Randy and Glenn had? Are you all looking at ethylene glycol?
Ethylene glycol, which is more commonly known as antifreeze.
And he said, off the record, yes.
Dan penemuan Jane inilah yang menjadi potongan-potongan teka-teki dari sebuah misteri yang akan mengungkap kebenaran yang begitu mengejutkan. Bureau Investigasi Georgia atau GBI kembali mengambil laporan otopsi Randy Thompson untuk diteliti lebih dekat apa yang ditemukan saat melakukan otopsi. Dan mereka melihat terdapat sesuatu seperti kristal di dalam ginjal yang mengindikasikan konsumsi ethylene glycol, sehingga bagian toksikologi diminta untuk mengujinya, karena biasanya mereka tidak melakukan itu. Lantas GBI bergegas menguji sampel jaringan Randy.
I looked at all the slides on Randy Thompson and I saw that there were crystals in his kidneys that looked like ethylene glycol crystals.
The GBI medical examiner did an autopsy on Randy, and they discovered what's called oxalate crystals in his kidney and liver area, and that's indicative of poisoning by ethylene glycol.
They concluded that Randy had been given a lethal dose of ethylene glycol, or he had consumed a lethal dose, and they changed the manner of death from natural to homicide.
The textbook answer for how much ethylene glycol it takes to result in someone's death is that as little as 100 cc.
Dan hasil terbaru dari pengujian tersebut mengonfirmasi bahwa petugas pemadam kebakaran tersebut telah meninggal akibat keracunan ethylene glycol dalam jumlah yang mematikan. Dari penemuan tersebut, mereka kini mengubah kematian Randy Thompson yang sebelumnya disebut kematian yang wajar menjadi pembunuhan.
The medical examiner ruled Randy Thompson's death to be a homicide by ethylene glycol.
Mengingat hasil tes Randy yang mengejutkan, Biro Investigasi Georgia memutuskan untuk melihat kembali kematian suami pertama Lynn Jr. Mereka mulai meneliti slide ginjal mini Glenn sebelumnya dan menguji ulang. Dari sanalah, pada saat itu, Jaksa Wilayah Cobb County memutuskan mereka akan menggali kembali makam Glenn untuk melakukan pengujian kembali yang merupakan sebuah keputusan besar dan melibatkan keluarga serta pemerintah.
Which then led us to look back at Glenn Turner's death, and the medical examiner then decided the best way to determine for sure was to exhume the body, because the organs of the body are left within the body after the autopsy.
And this
soon as they put the polarized light on it, the kidneys lit up like a Christmas tree. And so they knew that there was a connection to ethylene glycol poisoning there.
At that point, the district attorney of Cobb County decided they were going to exhume Glenn's body.
The exhumation of Glenn Turner's body after 6 years, it is a major decision. It implicates the government intrusion by digging up a body that's been buried that long, especially a police officer who died. It implicates families.
I handled his death okay, I thought. But that was just like a stab in the chest. And I told Jane Hansen, I said, have him do it while I'm gone.
Pada siang hari yang terik itu, Ibu Glenn Turner pergi keluar kota di saat para pihak berwenang bersiap-siap untuk menggali sisa-sisa jasad Glenn Turner setelah bertahun-tahun ia dikuburkan. Di saat spesialis forensik mengumpulkan sampel dari jasad Glenn, penyelidik kini mulai membuka kembali laporan hasil penyelidikan kematian Glenn Turner. Di antaranya, mereka mulai melihat beberapa foto yang sempat mereka ambil di rumah Glenn untuk menemukan kemungkinan ada foto yang menarik terkait dengan kasus ini. Dan benar saja, foto yang diambil dari garasi di rumah Glenn Turner berisi petunjuk penting yang selama 6 tahun ini terabaikan. Dalam foto tersebut, terlihat ada botol biru yang merupakan botol berisi cairan anti beku. Dan akankah sisa-sisa jasad Glenn Turner mengungkap misteri yang selama ini terkubur?
Result of the exhumation and the testing of Glenn Turner's organs, it was found that he also died from ethylene.
Byproducts of ethylene glycol are oxalate crystals, and these oxalate crystals deposit in the tubules in your kidneys and result in renal failure, which is not a pleasant way to die.
It just basically shuts down your kidneys and you die, and it'll be a very agonizing death.
Dan seketika itu juga, laporan kematian Glenn yang semula dinyatakan sebagai kematian alami, kini diubah menjadi pembunuhan. Dan Lynn Turner adalah tersangka utama dalam kematian kedua pria tersebut.
You don't want to face that someone could do something like that to your son.
We know that Randy died of the same thing, so now we have 2 young men, both died of the same death. Both died alone. Both died with flu symptoms.
I think everybody in the back of their minds knew there was only one connection between the 2 men.
Both were involved with one lady, Lynn Turner.
Everything pointed to her.
Within a short period, both deaths independently were ruled as homicides.
Pihak berwenang segera menghubungi Lynn Turner untuk diinterogasi terkait kasus tersebut. Tetapi hal itu sama sekali tidak mempengaruhi Lynn Turner. Ia bersikap begitu santai, karena pada faktanya penuntut hanya mempunyai sedikit bukti kuat yang memberatkannya.
We don't have fingerprints, we don't have DNA. We had no witnesses, no admission by her. She worked for the DA, she worked for the judge. I mean, who would believe that she would be murdering a police officer?
Meskipun pihak berwenang tidak memiliki bukti nyata yang melawan Lynn Turner atas kematian 2 pria tersebut, tetapi penuntut begitu yakin bahwa mereka telah berhadapan dengan janda mematikan.
We had a black widow who murdered both her husband and 6 years later her boyfriend. So we knew we were going to have 2 trials.
Did you kill your husband?
You still maintain your innocence? Do you have anything to say at all?
Lynn, you say people are calling you a murderer, is that true?
Semua media tampak begitu kehausan berita dan terus menyoroti kasus Lynn Turner. Karena kasus Lynn Turner mulai digelar pada hari ini di gedung pengadilan Cobb County.
It was kind of a classic case of greed. It was a national story, and there was a lot of interest in it. The draw of the story, I think, was just the ultimate betrayal.
Tetapi mengejutkan bagi semua orang saat Lynn Turner diberikan uang jaminan hingga ia masih bisa bergerak bebas di luar. Tingkah Lynn Turner yang terlihat tertawa riang dan begitu santai baik di luar dan di dalam ruang sidang, yang nampaknya ia yakin bahwa dia tidak bersalah.
She didn't look real stressed out or concerned. Just very cool, calm, and in control.
Tetapi jaksa Jack Mallard meyakini dan menjelaskan bahwa Lynn Turner sebagai satu-satunya yang memiliki peluang dan motif untuk menyingkirkan Glenn Turner dari kehidupan.
Lynn Turner lived with Glenn Turner at the time of his death.
And the motive was fairly simple.
She wanted to be rid of Glenn because she was already having an affair with Randy.
Dan bagi seorang wanita yang terlilit hutang, kematian Glenn adalah rezeki nomplok baginya.
She was beneficiary of Glenn, of her husband's insurance of a total of around $150,000. Also, he had retirement.
After Glenn died, Lynn Turner very quickly made some phone calls regarding the insurance. She was able to collect a $100,000 insurance policy. There was a $47,000 plus policy through the county that he had as a police officer. There was a small amount, a few $1,000s in a bank account.
Tiga tahun setelah Randy Thompson ditemukan tewas tergeletak di sofa, pacarnya Lynn Turner diadili karena pembunuhan. Tetapi meskipun dia adalah tersangka dalam kematian Randy, tetapi Lynn Turner kini didakwa atas kematian suaminya, Glenn Turner, pada tahun 1995, yang meninggal dengan cara yang sama dengan kematian Randy Thompson. Berdasarkan Undang-Undang Georgia, kematian Randy akan menjadi faktor penting karena memungkinkan untuk memberikan bukti atas apa yang disebut transaksi serupa. Dan di pengadilan, hakim setuju untuk mengizinkan kematian Randy Thompson, meskipun Lynn belum secara resmi didakwa dalam pembunuhan tersebut.
Had been accused of poisoning her first husband, Glenn Turner. In fact, that was the first case that was tried. It was tried before Randy Thompson's case.
They would use the Cobb County case of Glenn Turner to show her modus operandi because the circumstances were the same in both cases.
This case is about lust, greed, and murder. It's about one woman and two men. While this case is about the homicide of Glenn Turner, you're also going to hear about the homicide of Randy Thompson.
Starting the case out with those ideas of lust, greed, and murder, trying to set the tone for the jury to see that this was a lady who otherwise looked like a normal, good-looking young lady who had decided that she wanted more than she could have, and she wanted both money and other men in her life, and ultimately she committed murder in order to obtain those.
Randy Thompson also died from ethylene glycol poisoning. The evidence will show that there's one link, there is one thread, there is one common denominator, and it's this woman, Julia Lynn Womack Turner.
Kemudian jaksa mengatakan pada juri bahwa Lynn telah menghilangkan nyawa suaminya dengan cara membubui makanan pencuci mulut Jelo dan teh manis yang dicampurkan dengan antibeku, ethylene glycol, yang juga memiliki rasa yang manis.
Ethylene glycol is reported as having a sweet taste to it. And so ethylene glycol can be hidden in a number of foods or drinks that have a sweet taste.
There was a can of antifreeze in the basement of their house.
Did you notice any other items that appear in that photograph, sir?
Yes, sir. That blue gallon bottle of antifreeze there.
And boom, there it was. They blew it up and showed it to the jury, showed that she had the antifreeze, she had the means to do the killing.
I represented Lynn Turner along with my partner, Jimmy Berry. Once we learned in this case that evidence of both of these transactions were going to be admitted, then you realize this is going to be a tough road to climb. And in fact, I remember sitting down with Lynn telling her that you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Ahli berikutnya toksikologi bersaksi bahwa bukti keracunan ethylene glycol ditemukan pada ginjal Glenn dan Randy. Tetapi bukti yang paling memberatkan yang muncul di persidangan adalah percakapan yang dilakukan Lynn Turner dengan seorang karyawan wanita di sebuah tempat penampungan hewan lokal. Ketika Lynn menanyakan tentang apa untuk euthanasia hewan, yaitu tindakan yang bertujuan untuk menghilangkan penderitaan makhluk hidup dengan mengakhiri hidupnya melalui suntikan mematikan. Dan wanita itu menjawab dan menyebutnya dengan cairan berwarna ungu. Lynn juga telah menanyakan tentang efek menelan anti beku dan hal lainnya tentang racun, serta menanyakan berapa banyak yang diperlukan untuk mengakhiri hidup pada manusia dibandingkan dengan anjing. Saksi juga mengatakan bahwa Lynn sempat bertanya padanya, apakah mudah untuk memperolehnya? Dan jaksa meyakini dari sanalah Lynn membuat keputusan untuk menggunakan anti beku. Di dalam persidangan, bukti-bukti dan saksi-saksi yang memberatkan atas kasus serius pembunuhan tingkat pertama membuat semua orang terperangah. Mereka hampir tidak bisa mempercayai bahwa wanita yang diadili itu benar-benar menghadapi kasus berat dengan ancaman hukuman seumur hidup.
Almost like I lost my breath, I had tears streaming down my face, and I'm like, oh wow, like she really did do this.
Tetapi satu-satunya orang yang tidak terpengaruh di dalam ruang sidang itu adalah Lynn Turner. Ia tidak terlihat khawatir sama sekali. Ia begitu percaya diri, tenang dan santai, bahkan sesekali terlihat tertawa dan menunjukkan wajah lucu ketika sedang berbicara dengan pengacara pembelanya. Sidang kasus Glenn Turner melawan Lynn Turner berlangsung lebih dari 10 bulan dan kasus ini menarik perhatian media dari seluruh dunia. Kasus Lynn Turner telah menghasilkan ratusan artikel di surat kabar dan liputan berita televisi di dalam dan di luar negeri. Dan Jane Hansen menjadi sumber utama dalam perkembangan berita yang paling ditunggu mengenai kasus ini. Dan ini menjadi maraton jurnalistik bagi Jane Hansen. Setiap hari Jane menulis berita selama persidangan berlangsung. Dan ia juga menyinggung tentang fakta bahwa Lynn terlihat begitu acuh. Lynn juga disebut jarang mengungkapkan emosi.
And the next day, she came up to me and said, you know, everybody says I don't express emotion. And she said, I just don't want them to think they got the better of me.
Lynn begitu percaya diri karena ia mempunyai alasan untuk yakin bahwa kasus tuntutan terhadapnya mempunyai satu masalah besar, yakni tidak ada bukti fisik bahwa Lynn telah memasukkan anti beku ke dalam jaringan tubuh Glenn Turner. Dan pengacara pembela Lynn berpendapat bahwa keberadaan kristal oksalat di ginjal Glenn tidak selalu berarti dia keracunan.
Lynn Turner is smart enough to almost get away with a murder for 6.5 years. Smart enough to plan another one. Why wasn't she smart enough to cremate Glenn's body? If she's so doggone smart, why don't she increase Glenn's insurance? Increase it right after the marriage and let it sit there for a while. And why in the same meal with the woman poison Glenn with antifreeze and leave it in the basement? You can't have it both ways. Is she that shrewd and conniving and scheming on one hand and stupid on the other hand?
Tetapi dalam argumen penutupnya, jaksa penuntut membantah pembela Lynn dengan mengingatkan para juri bahwa dalam ginjal Randy juga terbukti mengandung etilen glikol, yang berarti mereka berdua meninggal karena keracunan yang sama dan memiliki hubungan dengan Lynn Turner.
If you've got two men, both in their early 30s, both of them die of ethylene glycol toxicity, and she is the element with both. Julia Lynn Womack Turner murdered Glenn Turner. The evidence is clear. Don't let her get away with murder.
Tetapi apakah juri akan percaya bahwa kasus tidak langsung ini dan tanpa ada keraguan-raguan cukup untuk bisa dijatuhi hukuman? Pada sore ini ketika juri yang terdiri dari 7 pria dan 5 wanita memulai pertimbangannya. dan mereka keluar menuju ruang tertutup. Di saat itu, Lynn Turner terlibat percakapan dengan Jane Hansen saat Lynn sengaja menghampiri Jane.
The jury had been out and Lynn came by. And I said to her, whatever happens today, whatever the jury comes back with, and she cut me off and said, I'm going to be acquitted. She was very confident that they were going to find her not guilty.
Dan pada malam harinya, tepat pada pukul 19:34, setelah kurang dari 5 jam bermusyawarah, para juri akhirnya membacakan keputusannya.
We the jury find the defendant, Julia Lynn Womack Turner, guilty of malice murder as alleged in count 1 of the indictment. So rendered this 14th day of May 2004.
Indebtedness, the lifestyle, all of those things that when you put all the pieces together, they basically took the place of the smoking gun.
Tetapi anehnya, keputusan yang telah dijatuhkan juri bahwa Lynn Turner bersalah itu sama sekali tidak mempengaruhinya. Tidak ada emosi atau ekspresi sedikit pun dari Lynn Turner. Ia benar-benar terlihat tenang, hanya membuka anting-antingnya dengan begitu santainya.
There was no reaction to her punishment. There was no reaction to the guilty charge. She was very non-emotional.
How could someone sit there and listen to these things and have no reaction, either anger or sadness?
She doesn't show emotion very well. That's the way she is. She internalizes everything.
Lynn Turner dijatuhi hukuman seumur hidup tanpa kemungkinan pembebasan bersyarat selama 14 tahun.
The justice system worked. I think Glenn would be thankful. He'd be thankful to Jane Hansen for being the one who really pushed it and put all the pieces of the puzzle together.
My job was to tell the story and to tell it fairly and accurately. That's what I was focused on doing. I really wanted to find the truth.
Ketika Zane menemui seorang profiler, ia memberikan pendapatnya tentang seperti apakah seorang Lynn Turner.
He told me she was a classic sociopath. He described a sociopath as somebody who always wants the attention and always wants to be in control. They can be smart, they lack emotion.
Hampir 3 tahun setelah Lynn dinyatakan bersalah karena meracuni Glenn, Lynn Turner melanjutkan persidangan atas pembunuhan Randy Thompson. Kali ini para juri tidak hanya memutuskan Lynn bersalah, tetapi Lynn Turner juga terancam menghadapi hukuman mati.
So the jury is the one who determines punishment in that circumstance. They had the choice of life with a possibility of parole, life without parole, or death.
Charging you with murder, having committed the crime of murder. How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
We plead not guilty, Your Honor. We felt that Randy may have ingested the ethylene glycol himself.
Her defense team wanted people to think that Randy had committed suicide.
Randy had attempted suicide. He had done it before. Randy had a problem with taking prescription pills, one specifically where he had overdosed, had to go to the hospital.
We believed that he was probably toxic. He had taken too much medication.
I feel that these children have gone through enough and that wouldn't accomplish anything by putting her to death. To her, they represented things like down payments on boats, cars, and finally just a way to keep her lights and cell phone on. They were worth so much more to her dead than they ever were alive.
Lynn Turner, janda yang kini berusia 38 tahun ini, duduk sebagai terdakwa untuk kedua kalinya. Ia menunggu keputusan juri yang akan segera dibacakan. Dan akhirnya, Lynn Turner dinyatakan bersalah atas pembunuhan Randy Thompson.
We the jury have found beyond a reasonable doubt that one or more of the alleged statutory aggravating circumstances do exist to fix a sentence at life imprisonment without parole.
In the second case, she was sentenced to life without parole, which you never are going to leave prison.
Dan ia akan menghabiskan sisa-sisa hidupnya di penjara negara bagian Metro.
Lynn's motivation was money and greed. That's all she thought about was money and what she could get with the money.
Maybe she planned it from the beginning. She knew that if she had the children, he would have the insurance policies, and eventually she thought that she would have a lot of money.
It was just minutes after the funeral ended, and Lynn made a call and found out that Randy had let his life insurance lapse. She was just livid because he had let his life insurance lapse.
There was nothing to be paid, and she did not get any money from his death.
Atas keberhasilan penyelidikannya dalam mengungkap kasus ini, Jane Hansen kini bekerja untuk Biro Investigasi Georgia atau GBI, dan ia meninggalkan pekerjaannya di surat kabar. Tetapi Jane masih tetap berhubungan dengan Lynn Turner melalui surat. Kemudian surat-surat dari Lynn berhenti datang. Dan pada suatu hari di musim panas, Jane Hansen menerima telepon dari John Bankhead, GBI, yang memberikan kabar tentang Lynn Turner.
At the Georgia Supreme Court, and I got a phone call from one person at the GBI, and he said they just found Lynn Turner dead in her prison cell.
Ia dengan sengaja mengakhiri hidupnya sendiri dengan cara mengumpulkan banyak obat-obat resep. Lalu ia meminum seluruh obat itu yang ia kumpulkan hingga menyebabkan overdosis. Lynn Turner nekat mengakhiri hidupnya karena ia tidak lagi bisa melihat masa depan apapun baginya, karena harus mendekam seumur hidup di dalam penjara tanpa bisa lagi menghirup udara bebas. Yang akhirnya dia sendiri memutuskan untuk meracuni dirinya sendiri. Bagaimana menurut Sobat K semua? Silahkan berbagi pendapatnya dengan sikap bijak ke dalam kolom komentar. Dan berikut sejumlah referensi dalam kisah nyata K-Channel kali ini. Serta nantikan dokumenter kisah nyata lainnya yang berbeda hanya di YouTube K-Channel, membuka jendela dunia.